Once you understand that, you can step outside of the cycle and its unpredictable nature and see the full spectrum of a timeline. Being able to do that, I can tell you the who, what, when, where, and how this devil has taken power. I can tell you the methodology that we have to use under the code of righteousness to reclaim power with the least amount of disruption to our daily lives. If the people that I'm speaking to now, which is white America, can understand this, we can begin to learn how to live like humans again. Because these false gods enforced a law that compelled us to behave savagely and separately as reptiles. In other words, they put restrictions on us mentally that allowed us to primarily draw from what scientists of the brain call your reptilian brain, which is your base, lowest nature, by restricting you through clogging your chakras with a nanobot that vibrates somewhere between third and fourth dimension. This nanobot prevents your spiritual self from connecting with Source, which allows them to put you on what they call the silver cord and reharvest you through lifetime after lifetime in cyclic nature in order to use you as a slave and a servant and to keep you trapped in a three-dimensional fixed position reality, which is not the natural state for any being that would ascend and have eternal life. We are not designed to be stuck in three dimensions. The three dimensions it's a simulator for the soul so that we can learn and refine ourselves so that we can become gods in a different domain and different dominion. We had to learn using the stretches and the pains of time, and they tortured us with something called death, which we did not know before they came. They introduced death by exploding a collider, a particle accelerator, and causing the fourth dimensional beings that were being trained to ascend to be trapped into a third dimensional fixed position reality. And they seal you in using the alchemical formula that closes your higher chakras, especially the love chakra of the heart. If you understand Qigong, you can ask Qigong healers around the world about this black goo that they are removing from energy centers in people. And they will explain to you that it is a very difficult substance to remove. If you aspire to ascend in righteousness and to feel the love of divine, if you aspire to eternal life, I'm going to tell you what we have to do. You have to find your Knights Templars and tell them that the Crown Prince of the Holy Grail has surfaced. They know what to do. And history has shown that the Knights Templar has been trustworthy in guarding the blood of the Holy Grail. In France has been issued a warning at Notre Dame because they killed a very important Knights Templar and thought that that would stop the widowed son from resurfacing. When they discovered upon invasion in Fort Detroit and being conquered by Chief Pontiac, the chief of the two feathers, the chief who only speaks the truth, is what that means in native culture. He is the chief of two feathers. He's not a full feathered chief because he's only provincial. He only covers a certain area. He is the chief of two feathers who told them, you have offended the Lady of the Lakes with your presence in her right hand. So you see, the sun has to rise from the right hand. The right hand is the state of Michigan, because the mother is Mother Earth. And the sun must rise in accordance with a prophecy that's written in the pyramid structure of the Giza Plateau. And this had to be because of something called the Orianos or the Osirians. Those are us who created the simulator in order to train souls to attain to high value. And so now what we have is a situation where nobody is understanding how dire this is. The first order of business is that they send delegations to pay homage and to query as to the validity of the rise of the widow's son. They know what to do, but there is a certain network that must be formed in the process, because at the end, once they came and gave their questions and paid homage, this is going to produce by confirmation something called in science 100 monkey effect, because the fallen that they call them was 200, but there were 300 in total. 100 remained as guardians of the righteous and the watchers to enforce the punishment for the wickedness that was laid down in Babylon. So as they enforced this punishment on the other 200 fallen who disobeyed those wicked ones, they done nothing but tried to clean. But the orders had to be enforced because of the ranking system in the whole God system that's above the human system that governs it. These are all systems of nature, energy, and matter. The energies, as you go up, become more fluid through time and space, because time and space does not exist outside of the third dimensional fixed position. These same ones can come into the three dimensions and take physical form. And some of them, their physical form, vibrate at a high enough frequency where they can take their whole physical form up to as far as the 9th dimension. Normally they stop at what they call the 7th dimension, which we know in the Islamic culture to be the 7th heaven, where Muhammad went on his night journey as high as the 7th heaven. And so it becomes now open opportunity for white America to fulfill the promise of America and it receiving the grace that it would be promised if it could endure without bringing ruin to all of humanity until now. America has fallen. This is the rise of the Grail Kings. And we can be on the side of righteousness and we can move forward in righteousness for righteousness' sake. Or we can do it the way that I prefer. I can take 50 sisters and clean it up and start all over. I've done it before. But I promised the widow that I would find her out for as many who would want to be free. I found an exit. In their law and their judicial systems are frauds. You have been deceived. White people were put in bondage by the bankruptcy of 1933. The process took over 100 years in laws and systems being created to facilitate the takeover of the entire indigenous peoples who were here, right? And these indigenous people earned the respect of the world when they allowed 13 colonies to set up, to clean up what was done in Babylon. It has been successfully cleaned up, but just because the spill has been cleaned up, where everybody has a right to ascend, does not mean everybody will. Because most people will not accept ascension or heaven as a reality. The whole hell concept has been fed to you sideways and backwards so as to have you in a state of continuous fear. You are controlled like cattle with the element of fear. And as long as you're standing in fear, you will not move forward nor progress. And so I'm offering an open opportunity to white America to separate from the hate and the ignorance and the deception and the false gods and all of the things that put restrictions on you becoming your best self, and to take your opportunity to earn your position among the ranks of the righteous. This is not mandatory for anybody. Just know that we all make our own path. Righteousness does not distinguish between your political affiliation, your sexual gender, your skin color. Righteousness is only concerned with how righteous you are. Ascension does not necessarily have anything to do with righteousness, but you have to be righteous to ascend, meaning that somebody who was born to be righteous and who failed in their quest for righteousness can forfeit their right of ascension. And so, we mentioned the Knights Templar and their trustworthiness in executing the rights of the Grail Kings, and they done this as what you call Via Kings. You never knew that the Via Kings were seafaring Templars. So I'm telling you now. And that's why you find Templar and Viking explorations and expeditions in this part of the world long before the investigator that they call Christopher Columbus came this way. The European Templars were well aware of the Americas and the people who dwelled here, because we did trade between the two for many, many, many millennia. And so while we done that, we were bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages and civilizing and uncivilized people that was no fault of their own. And in doing so, one of our sisters that they call Helen in Greece produced a high culture from one single school of education set up on the island of Crete. From there, we produced your Aristotles and your Platos and your Socrates, all the way up into your philosophers of war and strategy, and things of this nature. We trained your artisans in different forms of art. We taught Leonardo da Vinci. All of this was done through the Egyptian priesthood. All the way into your Romans, who were being taught by what you would call today your Libyans and Carthaginians. They were North Africans from a different clan, but they still had the high sciences. And they were teaching the Romans. And they were under the authority of a different Grail King. And under his authority, they so-called decapitated Medusa. And this is a gender switch when they stalled the high culture developing in Greece and began to pursue through savage brutality in Rome, and to make up for what they lacked in development of artistic skill, they decided that they would take it out in combat. So they would use combat as a form of political and social development and conquest as their tools to establish their governments and systems. So now you see the statue in the book of Daniel. Well, it says a single stone was hewn from a mountain, and it came tumbling down, and it crashed into the feet of brass and clay, and the whole Holy Roman Empire came crumbling down. All rights. America lost World War II, and you were deceived. Operation Paperclip was the successful integration of the Nazi Party into this government that was falsely set up. The same as they set up the false puppet government in Afghanistan. It's how they set George Washington here in America. You've been deceived. I'm here to break the deception. I'm here to reveal one
counts on Earth.
And I don't think I listened to his account yet, so I can't say I disagree or agree.
I listened to his accounts. I agree with it. So I agree with a little bit of it. I agree with the part where he said, I agree with most of what he's saying. And he talking about the same shit we saying about them and how they taking over and how they trying to control us and all that. That's what he talk about. But he talked about it from that he connected with the Andromedans. It says, how could you explain Cairo for people who are not familiar?
It's a city in Egypt.
Yeah, that's simple. And it's one in Illinois. And it's one in South Carolina.
And it's one in Michigan.
Yep. These are is that so which one is the mirror flip for the one over and is it the one in Illinois is the mirror flip? Or is it all of them?
So what you're doing is when you see that many of them, it's more than a mirror shift. 4 is a 4-corner shuffle. Okay. 7 is a Pleiadian flip. 3 is a 2-ball cane flip.
Okay, I got you. Hey, I like that. You gave me some good stuff right there. All right, what is the Black Army? If you know anything about that, right?
The Black Army?
Yeah.
Us?
Yeah.
Look, so it goes back to the Feather versus Fez chess game conjure on the 5th dimensional chessboard.
Mm-hmm.
The pieces under attack is the black pieces. And the pieces attacking are the white pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's expressed through a system of levies, which is the tribe of Levi, and leans, which is the anagram for Enlil.
Uh-huh.
So the tribe of Levi is under the authority of Enlil, right? To levy a lien, Levi lien, is spelled the same, Levi levy, right?
Okay.
Levy a lien, and Levi is blue jeans because it's a Blue Lodge flip.
I got you.
Right? So the Blue Lodge is the jeans, and the jeans is Jocks, which is Joaquin, which is one of the twin pillars, which automatically brings Boaz into play. So from pillar to post is from Joaquin to Boaz. Between severity and mercy do you stand? This is a judgment call, right? And between severity and mercy, you suffer on the sacrifice, but you come up on being sacrificed. Because the ones who sacrificed you didn't know that the rules changed to the game when we said there will no longer be any sacrifices. Once we close the war conjure, by concluding that one of us remembered that we was already here and they came from over there to pretend to be us, and we chose to go to conjure war rather than the shedding the blood, because we choose peace, because we choose love, and they choose war because they love to hate. They some haters.
Right? Straight goddamn haters. Bona fide.
So our only remedy was to tell them, since now we've closed all of the contracts by being in the superior position to right. How do you know we're in a superior position to right, young elder?
Because we moving to the top. I mean, that's what I think. We moving to the top. It's we winning. The ball is in our court. We got the momentum.
That's already established.
Yeah, go ahead.
The superior position is a position to right because the righteousness stand on what's right.
That's right. That's right.
But we don't get stuck so far to the right, we can't bump straight.
Right. That's cold right there. That's cold.
But you know what? Just because we always stay to the right, that don't mean we won't bump left.
Yeah, hey, you don't want niggas to bump left. When they bump left, it's hard to get them back on the right.
Because Noble Drew Ali said they came in off a left bump. Hostile, that means. On the 32-degree Scottish Rite Freemason flip off of a Albert Pike. And a pike is a fish with teeth. Right? And you got two kind of pikes. Well, you got more than two, but two main ones. You got the gar pike and you got the northern pike. The northern pike look more like a giant bass or a crappie, but the gar pike, He got a long nose like a swordfish,
Mm-hmm.
but he built like an eel. So this is a description, right? Of the one that comes in with the eel wheel. A chupacabra, a goat sucker,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Come in with the sharp teeth.
Reptilian grays.
They blood suckers.
Mm-hmm.
They vampires,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Dragonians.
And the vampires, it comes from Vlad the Impaler. And Vlad the Impaler impaled his enemies on the walkway up to his castle. Why did he do that, Elder?
I don't know. Let me hear what you got.
He did that to intimidate anybody that come to his castle with that bullshit, letting them know this how I'm cut, this how you gonna be stuck up there as a signpost for Satan to know I done arrived in hell, motherfucker. Right? Yeah. So he was making his presence known to anybody